Good morning. It wasn't that long ago. I was hanging out with you guys last night on Baseball After Dark. If people were still hanging with me last night, watching the Yankees make that comeback versus the Jays, Seattle, making it a 2-1 series lead. So it was very fun. We're gonna have Dellin Betances on today. We're gonna talk Yankees Jays mostly at the beginning, off the top, and then we'll probably go to another side and all that type of stuff. Oh, just got a weird text message, but that has nothing to do with what we're doing. I don't know. I've been thinking a lot about this game last night. Some of the choices that were made, some of the stuff that happened, some of the stuff that maybe could have happened that didn't happen. Blue Jays were in a great spot in this game, 6-1. And we're gonna bring the big man, the gentle giant, Dellin Betances on here in a little bit. And we're going to get his thoughts. He was at the game last night, so that's exciting. I don't know why I just clicked on Ryan McMahon. Did not mean to do that. But, yeah, here we go. 4 games today. 4 potential series enders today. Oh, my wife asked what my weird text was. Hold on. Anyway. My wife, what's the weird text? Should I come down there? No, you're good. You don't got to come down. You're good. You're good. You can stay in bed. Enjoy the rain. Very, very pumped that everybody's hanging with me tonight. We'll get this going. This is the motto for today, Jung Z. Who needs sleep when you got baseball, right? You don't need sleep when you got baseball. But let me hop over and see where Mr. Dellin is, if he's in here yet, just because he's not yet. I don't want to get too much into it without him, but we certainly can for a little while. First thing I want to point out about yesterday's game was the bullpens are in shambles for this Blue Jay Yankees game that's coming in today. Look at all the pitchers that pitched, even on the winning side. Cruz threw 19 pitches, Doval 13, Tim Hill 16, Devin Williams 26, Ed Bednar 21. And on the losing side, and the Blue Jays are going bullpen game today, Fluharty threw 19, Varland 20, and he's supposed to be the opener today. Less than 24 hours later. Fisher 13, Little 9, Yariel Rodriguez 15, Tommy Nance 18. So this could get really messy today. I'm not sure if there's any thought yet for these Blue Jays guys, managers and their brass, if they want to go Gosman on short rest today for a stretch. I think I'd be tempted to, and I would hold, knowing that I have you Savage on regular rest for Game 5. So I think that'll be interesting to see, if there's any Gosman appearance today, or if they really truly try to just roll through it with like a combination of relievers. Lauer should be the bulk guy, although he has struggled in this series, I believe. So there's a lot of little factors that make this series, all of a sudden very fascinating. And then, the other thing is the Schlittler factor versus the Blue Jays. He struggled in his 2 starts versus the Jays, had his worst start of the year versus Toronto in Yankee Stadium about a month and change ago. And since then, he's been, on an absolute burner. I think 1 run last 20-something innings for Cam. So you kind of have one guy who's super hot versus an offense who's hit him and is also hot, kind of converging tonight on that side of things too. And my early key for this game, we'll see what Dellin thinks, but my early key for this game is okay, he says he's on now, so I'm gonna come bring him in. Is Schlittler pitching well? That's my early key. All right, so just bear with me for a sec while I pop Dellin into here for a second. Oh, there he is. Yo, can you hear me? D, can you hear me at all? Yeah, you can hear me. All right, let me put you in. Browser. There he is. You can hear me? You can see me? Oh, damn, I don't think he can hear me. We're going to find out in 1 second. You might have to unmute me, D. We're getting it working here. Can you hear me? 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 D, can you hear me? 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 Damn, I don't think he can hear me. He can't hear me or see me? That's so crazy. You can't, you're on. Okay. This is so funny right now. Damn, that's weird. Bear with us, folks. Sorry about this. Hold on one sec. Let me put you back to the. Let me put you here for a sec. All right, I'm just gonna paste the new link into the thing here. Give me one sec, D. Oh, it's live. We got people in the chat and everything, but I'm just pasting you in. Now you're gonna see. All right, you can see me now, right?
Yep, I see you. Yep.
All right, perfect. Well, thanks for coming on, my man.
Nah, thank you, brother. I appreciate it. You're doing some good things. Love to see the work you're putting on and keeping people in tune with what's going on. I love that.
Yeah, and for the people that don't know, Dellin works with MLB, and he was one of the people that was helping me with my meeting to actually get this show off the ground this year. So big thank you for that. I appreciate that big time.
Nah, you had a great idea and try to help it come into fruition, and you're doing an amazing job.
Thanks, buddy. So you were at the game last night, right?
Oh yeah, the place was insane. The atmosphere was great. As you know, Yankee Stadium in the postseason, no better place to play a baseball game. And what a moment, obviously, by Aaron Judge. I'm sure we'll get into that, but
Yeah.
the place was electric.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. What were the vibes like when it was 6-1? Pretty down in the building. How did that start to percolate? How'd you feel that in the moment?
So, me playing baseball for so long, I felt like it was early enough for us to kind of chip away and make a comeback. But you felt the air kind of out of the stadium at that point. There was fans in there complaining, and I was trying to keep them at ease. I felt like if the bullpen could just not give up any runs the rest of the game, we were going to be in a good spot. And that's exactly what they did. The bullpen was amazing. They did a tremendous job of getting valuable innings from Duvall. And, Cruz came in early and did a great job. I mean, bullpen was excellent. And it allowed the guys to chip away and make a huge comeback there.
Yeah, when it was 6-1, I was on the stream last night and I was thinking to myself, they're gonna have to probably go scoreless the rest of this game to maintain the momentum as they start to chip away. Even one run here, one run there can kind of get a team down, making the job feel a little bigger than it is. But they were able to do it. To your point, Duvall's been a big piece. Duvall came in, did a good job. Cruz is kind of the early fireman. He's always been the first one in. But Duvall's also kind of held it down. I think he might be a factor tonight because one thing that's interesting headed into game 4 tonight is the Yankees used an awful lot of relievers last night to get through that game. And this is going to be another battle of that tonight. Cruz threw 19 pitches, Duvall 13, Tim Hill 16, Williams 26, Bednar 21. Obviously, you've been a part of a lot of playoff runs, heavy usage in the bullpen. This time of year, what's the strategy? What you doing today when you wake up to make sure you're ready to go tonight?
Well, you're making sure that the training staff is taking good care of you. Doug, the massage guy, making sure he keeps you loose. But what I like with the bullpen, even though they had to cover a lot of innings yesterday, Will Warren in the game that he pitched the game before, he saved a lot of those guys, right? Even though things didn't go the way you would want to there,
Yeah.
he saved those guys where Boone on an off day now has a fresh bullpen. And he was able to kind of master that together, using guys for certain lanes, and those guys executed very well. I feel like those guys are, haven't been used as much as Toronto's bullpen. Toronto's
Yeah.
bullpen's a lot, and then they got a bullpen day today, which favors the Yankee for me. But those guys will be ready. They'll be ready to go.
Yeah, that's fair. On the other side, the Jays used Fluharty, Varland, Fisher, Little, Rodriguez, and Nance behind Bieber yesterday. So they're in the same boat. I think the rumor on the street so far is that Varland is going to go ahead and open today. He's the guy who had that at bat for his Judge yesterday. Less than 24 hours later, I'm curious to see what adjustments he's going to make. Let's go back and watch the big home run. Let's watch the at bat. Let's see what we think about it. Starts him off with the first pitch off speed in this
Yeah,
spot.
that was a great pitch right there, first and second. You want to stay down and away. Ball was a little up, but you want that pitch away, breaking ball. So great pitch and that bat.
And I think the second pitch is so key for what ends up happening on the third pitch here. He goes right at him, 100-mile-an-hour fastball. Actually, kind of blows his doors here a little bit on a very hittable middle pitch. Judgy was a little under it and definitely a lot late on this ball. And I think that gave Varland a little bit of false confidence that he should stick with the fastball.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm
yeah.
not going to quibble with the actual location of the home run pitch. It's still a good pitch, but he underestimated a little bit Judge's ability to make a one pitch adjustment. What do you think about that?
So the difference I see in both those pitches here, I felt like that fastball had a little bit of more carry to it. I mean, the location was more middle, but sometimes when you throw in 100, you can get away with that. Where this pitch here was 14 inches off, in and off the plate, and Judge is able to like barrel and keep that fair. I don't think I've ever seen that.
Yeah.
Somebody
Since
throwing so hard and you're able to get your hands in to keep that ball fair. I mean, the place, I felt like Yankee Stadium at that place was about to go. I mean, the place went nuts. I mean, you just felt everybody waiting to see if that ball was going to be fair or foul. And as soon as it hits the foul pole, the place exploded. It
yeah,
was,
everybody holding their breath. A lot of talking
yeah.
to that ball in the air.
And think about this. We play with Judge for a lot of years. When have you ever seen Judge drop the bat like the way he did? He never does that.
Yeah,
Like
he stood there for a while. Yeah.
that moment was huge, and I mean, it was great to see. It was great to witness that. Like I said, the atmosphere was insane at that moment, and I just felt like we were going to win that game.
Here, let's just get back to what you were saying here for a second. So this fastball that he gets by him has 15.6 inches of induced vertical break, which is like not exceptional, but definitely has some good ride to it at 100,
Yeah.
kind of up middle in the zone. To
Hmm.
your point, the next pitch comes in about an inch less, so it's slightly less ride. I think your
Yeah.
intuition was correct. It's not a big difference, but you don't need a big difference in these moments when you have this type of talent at the plate.
Yeah.
And then look at the location too, though, of where he hits this pitch. I mean,
And you see how kind of like it kind of runs in, right? But the ability that Judge has to get his hands in, I mean, that was pretty impressive. And I think I seen somebody say like at that speed, nobody has been able to hit a home run.
yeah, there's actually a stat for that. I have that right
Yeah.
here. It comes from Sarah Langs here. Aaron Judge's home run was hit on a pitch 1.2 feet off the center of the plate on the inner half and on a 99.7-mile-an-hour offering by Varland. Since tracking began in 2008, it's the only home run hit by any player on a pitch that far in and thrown that hard. So this was truly a unicorn home run for sure.
The ability to keep that fair, like how do you keep a ball fair? That like that ball, like where it's in like that. I mean, that was pretty impressive. I
Did you
mean,
see? Were you able to see this view at all? The this umpire view right here.
well, I was at the game, so I haven't been able to catch the replay
Look
as
at
much. But
that.
look at that. I mean, it's just amazing. He gets his hands in and barrels that. I
Like at
mean,
this moment, he looks late,
yeah,
but he's not. He gets there, and somehow I think the more amazing thing too is that he keeps it fair.
keeps it fair. I mean, that ball felt like it was in the air, just hanging for a long time as everybody's kind of quiet, waiting to see if it's fair or foul, and then the place goes
Yeah,
silent.
I got a good view for that too. If you watch the Yankee dugout here from this side view, you can see a lot of guys talking to this ball. Oh, that was my bad. You can see a lot of boys talking to this ball while it's in the air.
Look at this. Everybody's just waiting.
Everybody's
Everybody's
up there.
waiting.
You got
Even
Matt. You got
Judge.
McMahon
Judge is
talking to
just,
the ball. You got Free talking to the ball. You got
I'm,
Volpe talking to the ball.
stay fair. Stay fair. Stay fair. Look at this. This is amazing. I
Yeah, so
mean,
super dope
couple
right
steps
there.
back. Let me admire this, hoping that it hits the pole, and this place is about to go nuts.
Yeah, he just kind of stands there because he's not sure, obviously, if that's going to stay fair. And
Look at
typically, when you throw a pitch in this location, I mean, you threw 100 miles an hour in your career. When you threw up and
yeah,
in pitch, 2 strikes to a righty, and it was way in, even if they got to it, more often than not, foul ball, right?
foul ball. Like yeah, that ball's not getting hit fair. Like that ball is foul all the time, like 99% of the time. Like we said, like since 2008, since they started registering a lot of this data, that ball has never been hit for a home run, and he was able to do it. I mean, that just shows the player that Judge is. He's just a step above everybody else.
All right, so take me into your mindset here if you're Varland, right? You just faced him last night. He's now got 2 home runs off you in the 5 times you faced each other in the career. He made a 1 pitch adjustment that kind of is a shock to your system. Now you got to come back today, open the game, probably face Judge right off the rip, hopefully with nobody on if you're the pitcher, but maybe with a guy on.
Yeah.
What's your approach today? Do you just stick with your strengths, or do you try to shy away a little bit more and make some more pitches away, make them beat you the other way? What's your mindset here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in that situation. Going into today, you have to have short term memory, right? Like yesterday's game. That's it. You're still up 2-1. He has to go in, and I'm trying to attack them maybe a little differently, obviously, but I'm trying to stay away. Maybe use my breaking ball a little more. I know you're throwing 100, but um, Judge can hit that.
Yeah,
So
this is the cat and mouse because it's like if you go breaking ball, is Judge expecting that because he beat you on a fastball last night? Or, you're trying to see inside somebody's brain. So this is one of those things where you almost throw the analytics out the gate. You just try to go off gut feel and just try to execute some pitches. And if I'm pitching, I'm hoping that he hits the ball, not in the air, basically. Keep it on the ground if I can.
yeah, no, definitely. I mean, Judge is so good. I mean, it'll be a fun matchup. I'm kind of shocked that they're going Varlin early though, but
Yeah, me too. This is the other big question from today's game is if you were the Blue Jays, knowing how good Savage looked that other start and having him on potentially full rest for game 5, do you go ahead and push Gosman up a little bit and try to get some contribution out of Gosman today on short rest?
yeah, I mean, I think them up being 2-1. I mean, I do like the idea. I would have liked. I mean, if I'm them, I'm trying to use my two best guys. Especially you've been using your bullpen for these couple games a lot, and the more that hitters see the bullpen, the more comfortable they get, right? And this game has I see it going 5, right? So
Yeah.
I would have liked to see Gossman today. Obviously not. I'm a Yankee fan, so but if I was a manager, I would have tried to push that envelope. If Gosman feels good and he can pitch today, I would have tried to do that.
Yeah, I think I would have too. I would have went for the risk here, knowing that you have another guy that looked really, really good in your Savage that can go game 5. I wouldn't punt on this game. I would do everything I could to try to win this game. I would go balls to the wall. I would use Gosman because I think the Yankees are going to certainly play from that level of desperation as well. They need a big start out of Schlittler. Coming off that last game against the Red Sox, he's got to be feeling pretty good about himself heading into this game. I know the Blue Jays have gotten to him a little bit in the past, but he's coming back with some new adjustments today. What are we expecting out of Cam, and what do you think the Yankees need out of him today? Do you think they need to get a full 5, 6 innings out of him, or do you think they'd be happy with even like a shorter outing as long as he's keeping some runs off the board?
I mean, if he's keeping the runs off the board, you'd let him go as long as he can. Obviously, Cam feeds off the energy in Yankee Stadium as he did against Red Sox. Everybody, he's the talk of town right now. Everybody's asking when Cam is pitching. I was around the neighborhood yesterday, and everybody's like, "Cam pitching tonight?" I'm like, "No, he's going tomorrow if we win." So, he's the talk of town. I think that the stadium is excited to see him pitch. He threw a masterpiece last time he went out. Um, you were right. Toronto had great at bats. I remember watching that game last time they faced them, and they were like, he was getting to two strikes, he just couldn't put them away. Like they kept fouling pitches off. Then he would get to 3-2. Had a lot of long counts, which I think Boone was forced to take him out early. Toronto's a tough team. You know, they put the ball in play. They foul pitches off. They're a tough lineup. But look for Cam to go 5 or 6, and the bullpen will take care of the rest.
Yeah, it's an interesting matchup because he's on a burner right now. He's on a 15 inning scoreless streak at the moment, going scoreless his last two starts: Boston, Baltimore, and even reaching a little bit back through his last five. Four of them have been extremely quality starts. So he's on a great run. This is where you want to be headed into the playoffs if you're a pitcher. I know the matchup situation's a little interesting. There's been two starts. He did have his worst start of the year versus Toronto, which was in Yankee Stadium. 1 2/3, 5 hits, 4 runs, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. In the other one in Toronto, he was able to go 5 innings, 2 runs, 7 hits, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. But that's many versions of Cam Schlittler
Yeah,
ago. He's made adjustments since then. He's added more sinkers into his game. He's using his fastball both at the top of the zone, at the bottom of the zone. So in a way, this is like one of those matchups that you're trying to imagine in your head because on one hand you have a really hot guy, but he struggled against this lineup. So it's sort of like one of those things where you're trying to figure out how it's going to play out. I do expect the Blue Jays to be pretty aggressive on fastballs early in the game because that's kind of the way he likes to set the tone with the fastball. So I'd be if I'm watching this game as a fan and as a Yankee fan, I'm keying in a lot honestly at what happens right away in this game. Does he come out
that's
there? Does he establish that heat or does he get ahead in the count? Is that what you're looking for?
that's exactly what I was thinking, Otto. You hit it right in the head. Look for that first time through the lineup. How does he handle that? That's where he had trouble that last game in Yankee Stadium against them. Like I said, he got guys to 2 strikes, but he wasn't able to put them away. But if he goes through that first time through the lineup pretty good, I like our chances to come out on top. And we're gonna put a lot of pressure. We've been scoring a lot of runs these last couple games, so the Yankees are gonna put pressure, and I think Cam will deliver. And then,
Game five,
getting ahead
anything can
of
happen.
the game
Yeah.
five, I don't see Max Free struggling twice. So that's just my opinion.
Yeah, Max has been a game changer for the Yankees this year. Of course, he has struggled a little bit versus the Blue Jays. I guess a couple more quick thoughts before I let you go today on this series. Will Booney use Weaver today if need be, or is he still maybe a little bit cautious to go Weaver at this moment? What's your read on that?
I think at this point, in this type of game, I'll try to stay away from Weaver. I'll try to stay away from Weaver, um, especially if the game is tight, a close game. And now, if we're up 4 or 5 runs, I wouldn't mind using him in a situation like that. But if it's a tight game, I'm trying to find a way to gain some confidence for him. So, you know, you don't want to throw him in a tight game, and then the pressure. You hear what the people are saying, right? So like the last thing you want is you throw Weaver in, and things don't go his way, and then you get blamed for that. I feel like if you're up 5 or 6 runs, I'm getting him in, because you need Weaver to win the World Series. I think he's a valuable part to the bullpen. He hasn't been pitching as good, but we know what he did last year. So if you could get him on track, you got to find a way. Similar to what like Dave Roberts, he tried it with Blake Trinan the
Yeah,
last
he
game.
did. He
Right? He
did.
tried, but it didn't work. So you have to find a lane that makes sense, but you have to be up for me 4 or 5 runs to put him in. But you will need Weaver down the stretch if you're going to win the World Series.
Yeah, that's the way I feel too. Like they're gonna have to get some positive contributions out of him. He's too good for them to not be able to utilize that in the World Series. We've been in this spot. We've been in Weaver's spot before, struggling. You had a good year all year. All of a sudden, things aren't clicking. The confidence factor can come into play. Also your support system comes into play, like in the clubhouse right here. If we're in the clubhouse today, if you're in the clubhouse today, what's your communication like with Weave? Are you just trying to build him up? You're reminding him of who he is, or is this type of thing where you just let him do his own thing? How would you approach that?
So for me, I think communication is key. I remember in 18 going into the playoffs, and Boone, before the wild card game against the A's, he goes, Dellin, if anything happens, if Severino gets in trouble, you're the first guy I'm going to. So right there, before the game starts, in my mind, I'm like, oh, maybe I'm coming in later. Maybe we use David Robinson first for situations to kind of be the fireman. He came to me and tells me that. I feel like Incredible Hulk. I'm like, well,
Yeah,
I'm
you
the
were
first guy.
electric in that game.
I'm ready to come in, right? So with Weaver, make sure you communicate with him, like, hey, we're gonna need you at some point. We're gonna need you. Just like continue to give him confidence that he's valuable to the team. You don't just want to let him sit in an island and feel like, man, I just can't help this team do anything, right? Like you want to
Yeah,
make sure his confidence stays at a certain point. And like I said, he's thrown a lot of great innings this year. He's in a little funk, but I feel like you will need him to win the whole thing.
I agree totally. And it is interesting because I dealt with this a little bit in 19. Like I had a great season the whole year. Got into the playoff time and I started scuffling a little bit. My bad. I'm trying to set something up here, but haven't
Yeah,
just giving
no
myself a
worries.
minute here. Yeah, and it's just one of those things where I'm trying to find this game. It was 2017 in the playoffs, right? Versus no,
That
maybe
was 20, that was
2018,
2018 wild
2018.
card,
Yeah, yeah,
Oakland
yeah.
A's 7. Yeah,
Yeah, 2018 versus Oakland. I got you. I got you. Hold on. Let me just
yeah.
want to see if I can't find some of your performance in this game because it was super electric. And then I'll let you go
Yeah, it was
after
first
that.
and second. I think it was in the fourth inning, first and second. He had a couple guys on, and I came in with no outs. We were up to nothing, and I was able to get out of that and throw a couple innings. But just a manager kind of going to you to like let you're my guy. I think goes a long way.
Yeah, I totally agree. And also, I had a similar experience in a wild card game when I was with the Rockies. We played against the Cubs. Bud Black told me the same thing. I might use you as early as the second, third inning in this game. Now, I ended up not pitching until the seventh, so I was pacing around out there like a maniac the whole game. But it is nice, at least, to give you a little heads up because it's not typical. You're going to go in there a lot of times in your normal routine. You'll get to the bullpen fourth, fifth inning. But in this game right here, I mean, this is the fifth inning. You're in the game just pimping strikeouts. Sevy's loving
So yeah,
it.
you see right there, I came in with no outs, two guys on, but for me, I
Oh
just
yeah,
felt
so
I felt in that situation. That no, but that was a great at bat there. But I felt in that situation that I was gonna get the job done just because I got the vote of confidence from the manager, from Aaron Boone.
that's great. That's good. That's good. That's good for people to know that you can that the manager can go out there and instill confidence in you, and it can turn around and be show up big time on the field. Yeah. So you got a little fly out here, and then you got let's see what this
And
one.
then I faced Jet Lowry. I think I was
Oh
down
yeah,
2-0.
2-0 in the
And Jet
count here.
Lowry he's thinking one thing. He's trying to hit a 3-run home run. So he swings at this, and I get him.
I would love to
He's out.
know. I would love to know in your prime what your extension looked like and your vertical break on your fastball because because you're talking absolute cheese and you're a giant. So stepping close and just the ball's just getting
Yes,
on them.
my vertical break wasn't as good as some of these guys because even though I was tall, I would let go kind of,
You had a little bit of a lower
and
slot.
but the angle it came out of was obviously unique, and it throwing us. I was like 50-50 breaking ball fastball, so that kind of helped me out.
Yeah, this was great though. You went 2 innings. I remember watching this game. I think we were getting ready to play our game, and it's just so different how playoff baseball changes things. Like you're an eighth inning guy, all of a sudden you're in here fifth, sixth inning, pitching 2 innings, just doing whatever it takes.
And yeah, and that's one game. This is the wild card when it's one game, do or die, 2-0 game. I'm just trying to throw up zeros as much as I can. But I felt great this game, man. I knew going into this 2018 playoffs, I was super confident. Because the year before I had some struggles. Like going into the playoffs, I had some struggles, and I pitched early against Cleveland, and I had some a couple. I had the first game I pitched. I think we lost 4-0, but I came in. I struck out the side in like 11, 12 pitches. Then the second game, so the next night I pitched again, and Joe Girardi, after 2 innings of going shutout in extras, he goes, Dellin, can you go back out? I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's the playoffs. I'm going to throw as long as I can. And then I ended up getting walked off there, which didn't feel great. But
No, no, yeah.
it's great, but it's gut wrenching when you lose there. And then I remember like I let that game kind of carry on to the next series. And sometimes as a pitcher, if you could just um, put those tough times in the back burner and just be ready the next day, that helps you be more successful.
Yeah, the mentality is everything for a relief pitcher, especially this time of year. Did you feel that there was more nervousness and pressure in early playoff elimination games, like those one games? Did you? I felt like I've been in 3 of those games. I felt like those were the most nervous I was before games, even more so than like a game 6 of an ALCS or something like that, because now you're kind of in the flow of the playoffs. Did you ever feel that way at all?
Yeah, those one games were tough, man. I mean, and we couple years we had those. Like I remember Minnesota. Remember Severino goes out and gives up like
Yeah,
2, 3 runs early. He's out the game. The bullpen had to cover 8 2/3
yeah.
the rest of the game. But Didi comes and hits a 3-run home run and puts it like it was a back and forth. And it's one game. It's you win or go home. So those were tough. Those were definitely hard. But we had some exciting ones when I was with the Yankees.
Yeah, I always felt that pressure of like if we lose this one game, it's like we played this whole season and we didn't really get a lot out of it. So that was always a tough pill to swallow because I was a part of losing one of those games before. That's not a good feeling at all.
No, definitely. I remember in 15, if I'm not mistaken, we lost to Houston
Houston, yeah,
that one game, and then in 17, um, in 17 and 18 we
you won the
won.
games. Yeah.
Yes, we won both. That's what I'm trying to remember. I know 17, but yeah, those 2 games we won.
All right, so you're looking for this series to go 5. You got the Yankees tonight, obviously. It's going to be an interesting game. Maybe a lot of pitchers used. Maybe a little offensive battle. Be curious to see how they approach Judge. If they give him some intentional walks at times this night. Even though they were a little aggressive pitching to him yesterday, in my opinion, in that spot. But so you got them tonight. This should be a great night. I really want to thank you a lot for coming on. We'll have you on again, and we'll talk more about your journey, maybe in the offseason and stuff like that. But I want to get you on. Get your
No,
thoughts
yeah,
on this
yeah.
Yankees stuff.
Anytime. I don't know if a lot of people know we kind of grew up in the same area and
Yeah.
played in the same summer ball program. But yeah, anytime. Love to see what you're doing. And yes, I do think Toronto skipper will be careful with Judge. He was during the regular season. He had a lot of intentional walks to Judge, and I think he had one. If I'm not mistaken. He might have. Did
He
he
walked
get
him yesterday with nobody on after the next at bat.
exactly? So I see that happen. He's not pitching to Judge anymore.
Yeah,
He's not.
I think he's done. So
He's gonna.
now,
He's avoiding
if
that.
we're looking for a hero today, it's going to be somebody behind Judge. I'm thinking Bellinger, somebody like that. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, Giancarlo's had some good at bats yesterday. Look for him to, wake up to, playoff G. He doesn't stay behind too much. He had 2 great at bats yesterday, so look for him to do some damage tonight.
All right, perfect. Well, thanks, D. Appreciate you big time. You're the man, and I'll catch up with you soon. Thanks a lot
All
for
right,
coming
bro,
on.
take care.
All right, peace, man. All right, that was Dellin, Mr. Dellin Betances. Let me go over here and hang up on that call. He joined us, talked a little Yankees Blue Jays, obviously being a big Yankee guy. He's hoping for a game 5. And we'll just have to see how this one plays out. A lot of juiciness in this series. I don't know. We just, it looked like it was over. It looked like it was going to be short order. Really nothing to break down. It was going to be a little disappointing, but now at least we have a really exciting game 4 to look for. And if the Yankees can pull it off, we'll have a whole day to get ready for a game 5. So, I don't know. Very cool. And I think we should maybe get in the chat for a minute. Dellin gave us a few minutes of his time, which was really nice of him. And then I'll go ahead and we'll start to break down some of the other stuff. When it comes to the Seattle game last night, there's not a whole lot to look at. Logan Gilbert did his job. He was great. The offense was great. Detroit's a little short on the pitching right now. I wonder how they're going to be able to bounce back. So really, I don't want to focus too much on the results of last night's game. There's not a whole lot to learn. Seattle was in a good spot in that matchup with Gilbert versus Flaherty. Tonight, it will be Casey Mize. That's what we're going to look at a little bit. Will Detroit trust him? He has been quietly pretty good this year. He's made some adjustments. We'll get into that. And that's probably how we're going to attack this. Hope you guys enjoyed that little chat with Dellin. Of course, we're going to talk more about his journey, stuff like this, his mechanics. We got some questions about his mechanics and kind of the challenges of being a 6'8" pitcher. We'll definitely get into that with Dellin when we talk to him in the offseason. But it was cool of him to drop in, and it was nice to do a little Yankees Jays talk at the top of the show today. So very appreciative of that. All right. So without further ado, let's head over to our research notes and let's just knock it down one by one here with some interesting stuff. See if some questions start percolating, and we can get into the rhythm of the show today. On this date in 1956, Don Larson threw the only perfect game in the postseason history. He blanked the Brooklyn Dodgers in front of 64,519 fans at Old Yankee Stadium. This was obviously one of the most famous games that's ever been pitched. Don Larson was a good pitcher, not a superstar pitcher by any means, but this made him a household name for the rest of his life. Perfect game in the World Series is kind of insane. And also on this date in 1995, Edgar Martinez hit the double in the 11th inning of Game 5 of the ALDS to beat the Yankees, send Seattle to their first postseason victory and first LCS appearance in franchise history. Now this was a bad moment for baby Adam Ottavino because I was a huge Yankee fan in this moment. This is the first time my team had been in the playoffs. I actually went to Game 1 of that series, Yankees-Mariners. Don Mattingly getting his first playoff action. The stadium, I don't know if I've ever heard it louder, the old stadium. Yankees look great through the first two games. Mariners come back and win all three, culminating with that double where Griffey scores from first on Edgar Martinez, rounding all the way. Edgar Martinez's double in the corner. Gerald Williams went and picked it up. The relay was a little late. Griffey scores from first, and I was crying in that moment. Now, I didn't know that I was about to witness, a dynasty right after that. Yankee dynasty was born right after that. They win 96, 98, 99, 2000. But in the moment, it felt pretty crappy. All right, stats to know. 4 potential clinchers on Wednesday. In the history of the division series, we've had just 1 year where all 4 LDSs ended on the same day. So that's just kind of a quirky thing. It could happen today. There could be 4 clinchers today. Mariners are 4-0 in all-time potential postseason clinchers. They won in 95, ALDS Game 5, 2000 ALDS Game 3, 01 ALDS Game 5, and 22 AL Wildcard Game 2. Judge's home run, we just talked about it. It was 1.2 feet off the center, and it was 99.7. That combination of factors had never happened in the tracking era, and that's since 2008. So that's going back a long time now, about 16, 17 years. So pretty impressive home run. And the home teams have dominated so far this season in this Yankees-Blue Jays matchup. 13 of 16 games have been won by the home team. Milwaukee led MLB in road winning percentage, 556, and run differential. That's important because they are now on the road in Chicago looking to close out the Cubs. And I do kind of feel like that series is over. Just like I feel like the Dodgers-Phillies series is probably over. I don't see miraculous comebacks happening there based on the circumstances, but we'll see. Phillies averaged just 4.3 runs per game on the road this season compared to 5.3 runs in Philly. That's another reason to be a little down on Philly heading into it. They are trying to switch up the mojo. They're going with these powder blue jerseys in LA, something that they didn't do on the road the whole year, but they were 6-1 in the powder blues this year at home. So they're trying to go a little superstitious mojo to try to turn it around. Who knows? Maybe this works. I certainly don't mind the attempt of switching up the mojo. But it's also just a uniform, and it doesn't really necessarily have too much of an impact of how the game goes, despite some popular opinion. Here are the game times today. Mariners-Tigers are the first game, 3:08. Bryce Miller, further accentuating the Mariners' strength as a club in their starting rotation. He is their number 4 starter, and this guy's pretty filthy. He'll be starting for the Mariners, going up against the previously mentioned Casey Mize, who we're going to get into in a minute. Then we have a 5:08 Brewers at Cubs. Quinn Priester, Jameson Taillon. J-Mo looked great in his last start for the Cubs in the closeout matchup versus the Padres, where he went 4 shutout innings. So the Cubs need that. They need a little something from J-Mo. Blue Jays Yankees 7:08. Varland and the opener, and who knows what else the Blue Jays are going to throw at them trying to close it out versus Cam Schlittler coming off. Really the signature start of the playoffs so far as he eliminated his hometown Red Sox in that Yankees-Red Sox Game 3. And then tonight, Aaron Nola and Yoshinobu Yamamoto. So that's a little bit of a contrast in terms of two guys who have had very opposite style seasons this year. But Nola does have playoff pedigree, so maybe he can summon a really great performance tonight in that Phillies-Dodgers games. Those are the 4 times today. We have a quick question in the chat here from Spectre. If you were to have a hitter in the lineup you had no info on, how would you attack them? How would you set them up? Typically, if I have no info on them and they've never seen me, I would say I have the advantage. Pitcher generally has the advantage in this start, in this situation. where there's no familiarity. So I would just pitch my normal game, you know, sliders, fastballs late, just read the at bat. But I wouldn't go in there worrying too much because generally speaking, when it's a fresh matchup, the pitcher tends to have the advantage. Trey Savage probably had the best start so far. I mean, it's debatable. There's been some great starts. Scooble had an incredible one with, I think, 14 punch-outs. Savage, Yamamoto, Crochet threw a great game. There's been a number of great starts. But Schlittler, eight zeros in an elimination game. I still think I put that the highest. I know Savage was a little more dominant, but it was only 5 innings. So I'm going to go with the bulk. I'm going to go with the bulk a little bit. And just because at the end of the day, the game's about zeros, right? That's what it's about. All right, first let's do Mariners-Tigers. We'll do the basic notes, and then there's a whole thing on Casey Mize that I want to read because it's pretty fascinating, some of the adjustments that are detailed in this packet today. Again, shout out to the MLB researchers. This is just incredible content for me and for us. Mariners look to advance the ALCS for the 4th time. Tigers have lost 8 straight games at Comerica Park, which is weird. Losing 8 in a row at home when you were a dominant team early is very strange. They've been outscored 50-22 in that stretch, and their last time they won a game at home is September 6th. So that is more than a month ago. That is literally crazy. Detroit's also been out homer 9-2 so far in the postseason. I think the lack of offense for Detroit is ultimately going to doom them a little bit more than their lack of pitching depth. Behind Scooble, it seems to me like the offense is just sort of spinning their tires right now. McKinstry, 1 for 19 with 8 Ks. Dingler, 2 for 21. And Wenzel Perez, 1 for 17, have struggled. So they really haven't gotten any production outside of their main guys. But also, Carpenter, Gleyber Torres, and Parker Meadows have combined to bat 160, 220, 200 with 1 run in the leadoff spot. That's been the other issue, is getting guys on base for the Torkelsons and the Riley Greens and the Carpenters of the world, if Carpenter's a little further back in the order. That's been a little bit of an issue. They have scored in 11 of the 56 innings in the playoffs, and Seattle has scored in 10 of the 27. So Seattle's offense, which has also been much maligned over the last few years, has been a lot better of late and has been better than Detroit. And as much as they have the starting pitching advantage, I also think they have the offensive advantage in this series. And I expect Seattle to win this series and close them out probably today. Could be wrong. It's baseball, but that's kind of my feeling on this right now. Casey Mize allowed 1 run, a solo home run by George Valera in 3 innings last Wednesday in Cleveland, getting a no decision. So this was interesting because AJ decided to pull Casey Mize out pretty early. Oh, hi, wife.
Hi.
Everything good?
Yeah.
What's wrong?
Just saying hi.
Just saying hi. You look clean. You shower? You look good. All right, love you.
Love you. I did the Vicks shower.
Oh, Vicks shower pods to clear out the whole system. That's good. The people want to know, you know.
Yeah.
Casey Mize, getting back to him, he faced the Mariners twice this season. He defeated them in April 1st, so that's ancient history at this point, but he threw 1 hit, 5 2/3 scoring. And then he lost to the M's in Detroit, allowing 6 runs in 3 innings. So a little bit of a mixed bag there. Jorge Polanco is the guy with the big numbers off Mize coming into this game, matchup-wise, 6 for 16 with 2 homers. Bryce Miller on the other side has not pitched since losing to the Dodgers in the season finale on September 28th. So he's not only does he have a long layoff, a little bit of actually pitching, but he's also been injured for a lot of this year. So there's a rust factor a little bit, and he hasn't faced Detroit in quite a while. The last time he faced them was August 2024. So actually it's sort of coming back around again, where he might have a little more unfamiliarity advantage here in this situation. Naylor rejoined the club after the birth of his kid but he went 0 for 5 with an at-bat, and now is hitless in 13 at-bats. He needs some new dad magic for sure. I always felt like I had a little magic whenever we had a kid, right, Brett?
Yep.
Even though most of ours were born at the very end of the seasons.
Still had it.
Still had that magic, though. You know, you got to get that. A small victory. Thanks to the Tigers' 3-run ninth, Dan Wilson turned to Andres Munoz, who now has appeared in 3 of the past 4 days, tossing 48 pitches. So this is a little bit of an issue that could potentially doom the Mariners if they don't get a nice lead here. They'll have to go to the same dudes, which is Brash and Bizzardo. They've both thrown a ton of pitches in this series besides Munoz. 48 to Munoz, 61 to Brash, 31 to Bizzardo. All right, people in the chat, you're getting on me about my compliment to Brett. You look clean. Well, she just showered. She looks fresh and clean. I don't
It's
think
a-
that's a bad thing to say.
No, it's a big deal.
Should I not have said that?
No, you absolutely should have. That's the best compliment ever. Because I looked so bad and I like smelled sick. So looking clean is like.
Yeah, Dano gets it. He says you look clean is a tippy top tier compliment in a house with young kids in it.
Especially when your wife is sick.
Especially when your wife is sick. So
I was
we got nothing but love here.
I was going for fresh and clean.
She was going for fresh and clean. So we're doing good. This is also 1,000% going to happen this offseason or whenever JMO's ready to come on when he's not playing anymore. We will definitely get Jameson Tyone in here as well. Oh, you can come on too as well. Anytime, my love. Anytime.
Nope.
Anyway, yes, she is the MVP of this situation. Everybody knows that. Now, I want to fast forward because we have a whole breakdown on Casey Mize. He is the starter. Will they trust him? Will they not trust him? It's anybody's guess. But I did want to point out some things and some adjustments he's made and why he did have a really good year this year. Let's not forget, Casey Mize was the first overall pick in the draft by Detroit 2018 out of Auburn. He pitched to a solid 371 and 30 starts as a rookie, but then he got hurt with Tommy John and back surgery, and he was inconsistent in 24. So that all sets you up for 2025 and the ascension that he's made this year. This year, 3.87 ERA, 3.69 expected ERA in 20 game starts, which is the best he's done since that 2021 season. So good to see him kind of bounce back. He made the All-Star team this year. He had a 2.63 ERA over his first 15 starts of the year. He did struggle a bit in July and August, but then righted the ship in September. And again, pulled in the fourth inning after a 9-pitch walk to Jose Ramirez, and Tyler Holton came in. And that's the approach AJ used. I do think if Detroit wants to win this game, their relievers they seem to be getting a bit overexposed and also a bit tired. I'd like to see them get a little length out of Mize, but obviously that's wishful thinking. You know, they're not going to do it if he's struggling. They're hoping for a great outing out of him. All right, Mize posted the best underlying numbers of his career in 2025 with career best in expected ERA, Ks, walks, whiffs, and chase. He was one of the best at throwing first pitch strikes. This year, I believe he was, 67.9% first pitch strikes. So if you are a pitcher at home and you're growing up and you're learning how do I become the best version of myself, well, there's a million things you can adjust, but the low-hanging fruit is always first pitch strikes. If you are 0-1 in the count, that is always going to play for you on the mound, no matter what level of stuff you have. So that's one of the main, most basic adjustments that Mize did today, this season, getting up to about 68% first pitch strike. So that's something to look for. Also something to look for when you're on the opposing team and you know a guy fills up the zone a lot first pitch. You have some room to take some shots for some ambush damage on 0-0. So I look for some aggressive swings from the power hitters of Seattle today. Cal Raleigh, Eugenio Suarez in particular, to be especially aggressive today early in the game off Casey. Mize has made some changes over the last couple of seasons. After his injury, Mize started to throw more over the top, and as a result, his four-seam fastball has now seen its induced vertical break increase. He also started to throw his split harder in 2025, a suggestion he received after going to both Driveline and Maven Baseball Lab. I believe Maven is a private facility in Atlanta. I think that's where maybe Charlie Blackmon used to go. I'll have to ask him when we get him on. But there's
You're so cute.
I love you.
I love you.
But there's definitely been a big rush to go to these private facilities in the off seasons and kind of improve yourself. Looks like Mize took that pretty far this past year, going to not one but two places, traveling out to Seattle or maybe Arizona, one of the Driveline locations, as well as Atlanta, to kind of get his head wrapped around some of his adjustments. Here are the arm angles that he's brought to the table in his career and what his IVB has done. This is actually a really good crash course for understanding how your arm angle affects your ability to stay behind the ball and create backspin. Going back to 2020 through 2022, he was in the 30s in degrees of arm angles, 31.6 and 36. That's a pretty low arm angle relative to where he's at now. He's all the way up to 45 degrees on his arm angle. And as you can see, what's followed suit, the IVB has kicked up, 17.2. Also, this is that splitter adjustment. Now he's throwing at 88.6. So we've watched a lot of splitters in the playoffs this year, and a lot of them have, truth be told, been forkballs. The Logan Gilbert, slow forkball. The Roki Sasaki, slow forkball. The Cade Smith. And most of them, what I really mean by slow in this case is probably not the right word. I mean low spin rate. That's not what Mize does. Mize throws more of that power split a la Yamamoto. Here's what the arm action looks like in these two photos. You can see he's now got some trunk tilt, hiking that arm up a lot higher. That's improved his backspin, but also I think his ability to throw more strikes too. When your arm comes down more vertically through the zone, you have a little more time to release it and still keep it inside the strike zone, whereas when you're coming across, your timing has to be a little bit better. So anytime you can give yourself more margin for error as a pitcher, probably a good thing. And here's the quote of another thing that he did on his four seam. I flipped the seam orientation on my four seam, so it's carrying a bit more. I'm tracking down with the seams instead of up. That's something they told me I could benefit from. So yeah, you can see here on the ball in this picture, it's clear as day. He basically was on one side of the seam, and then what he did was like, so if you're here normally, he flipped it to the opposite. So the horseshoe's now on a different side. At one point, it was more first base side for him, and now it's third base side. And that can interact on how the ball comes off your fingers. And again, if you want to have really good ride, you want the ball to come off your fingers very squarely and at the same time to put as much energy through the ball and keep it spinning as true as possible. Seems like some of these adjustments have really paid off with his fastball. He also changed his breaking ball arsenal. He dropped his curveball, made a slider into two pitches. One's a slider, one's a slurve. So two options on the breaking balls is always good. They're going to tunnel really well off each other. You're going to be able to read at bats and timing, and it gives you more options for different swing types. So here's what he says about it. They also wanted me to add a slider, StatCast slurve, that actually went left, so I'm throwing a bigger slider now. I don't call it a sweeper because it only goes like 8 inches to the left. So it's not quite sweeper. We're now in in-between territory, and that's why it gets labeled as slurve. But you get the idea. He has a bigger one and a smaller one, a harder one and a slower one. So you can see how that can be useful in different circumstances. And how that affected his other pitch, which was his slider before, which is really like a cutter, is that gave him, he wanted to make them more distinct. So now that he's throwing a slower, bigger pitch to the left, he can throw a harder, more cutter-ish version as well. And we've seen that manifest itself with a 3 miles an hour uptick in that cutter slider pitch as well. So basically he's trying to play the game of having as much variety as possible, which is kind of the story of this year, the year of the mix. Everybody's been mixing it up. And let's see what else we got here. During Mize's strong start to the season, Mize leaned on both the split and the slurve to righties, but later lost the feel for the split. During his recent 6-stretch start, he's incorporated that harder slider much more often. So the split was actually the pitch that he was known for coming out of college. It was kind of his unique thing that I watched when I scouted him when he was at Auburn. And it's still a part of his game, but it's not the be-all and end-all now. Now he's more of a kitchen sink type of guy with more breaking pitches. And as they note here, down the stretch, he used the harder slider a little bit more, so we'll look out for that versus some of these Mariners hitters. Here's his usage versus lefties. Over the last 6, that's all I really care about. Fastball 38%, splitter 34%, slider 23%. So those are the main 3 pitches. Then with 2 strikes, pretty good chance you're seeing the split down. Mize's struggles during the middle part of the year really came down to struggling with that split. Ideally, the pitch stays in the middle, third, but down. When he doesn't command it below the zone, batters tee off on it. Opponents were hitting over 450 with a slugging over 900. So yeah, again, you can have a great pitch, but you have to be able to execute it. Mize is finally starting to do that, and that's starting to pay dividends. So all this kind of leads us to the fact that he is throwing the ball really well right now, and I think AJ might need to trust him a little bit more in this game. Because they're going to need to get a little length out of him now that these relievers have thrown way too much. This is what I was talking about a little bit with first pitch swing, though. So this is a little bit of a gambit. Because he's throwing so many first pitch strikes, I expect more ambush. The notes picks right up on that right away. And now we're looking at notable Mariners with first pitch swing ranks. Julio is 10th. Josh Naylor is 17th. Cal Raleigh is 18th. So those are the 3 guys to watch out for today to take some huge hacks on the first pitch. Basically, pick a pitch I think they're going to get, expect it to be over the middle, and try to drive it. And then versus righties, for the most part, he throws a lot of first pitch fastballs, maybe a little too many. So we'll see if Mize sticks with that approach or if he backs off of it. He has the 8th highest first pitch strike percentage in all of MLB, but versus righties, it's quite a bit of fastballs, so they can sit on that a little bit. So this is just a very fascinating matchup. That's pretty much all we have on that. But I think if Detroit wants to continue their season, and I'm sure they do, they might need to be they have a lot riding on Casey Mize, in my opinion. He needs to come out there and have a good start, because if they're going to bullpen the rest of this game and get themselves to a Scooble or whatever it is in Game 5, they're relying on a lot of pitchers who are tired and overexposed to get the job done. And I don't think that that's the best idea. I think they should try to get as much and push Mize as far as they can go before going after that. Is there a point of diminishing returns with advanced stats scouting trickling down to youth levels? Like, should a 12-year-old really be concerned with tipping pitches in IVB? No, they should not be concerned at all with tipping or IVB. They should be concerned with building skill sets, particularly throwing strikes, learning how to throw different types of pitches while they're still at, stress levels that won't injure you. And they should try to be as good an athlete as they can, play as many sports as they can to avoid burnout and also to get the cross-training benefits. But I wouldn't worry about getting in the weeds with any stuff like that. Plenty of time to learn this stuff as you get into high school and beyond. And then here's a little comment. We're going to get into the Dodgers situation in a minute, but Nola has pitched well in his last start. So that's the big hope for the Phillies. They could have went Ranger Suarez today, but they go Nola, which to me kind of shows that they know that they're up against it and they're going to need to get a good start out of him anyway. So why not right now? All right, back over here as we head and look at the Brewers and Cubs. This is our second game of the day. 5:08 game. Quinn Priester, who we thought was going to pitch a lot in game 2, ended up not pitching. They didn't need him at all. He goes up against my guy JMO today. So this is an interesting matchup of two guys that I've played quite a bit of catch with, actually. Jameson Taillon in off seasons past and Quinn Priester in this spring training past. So I hope both of these guys throw great on a human level, but it's just going to be a fun game to watch. Teams taking a 2-0 lead in a best-of-5 series have gone on to win that series 80 out of 90. So that's kind of what the Cubbies are up against. They're in the same situation the Yankees were. They need to find a way to grab that momentum back. So this should be a very interesting early offensive matchup between Priester and the Cubs batters. I think the Cubs need to play out front in this game. You don't want to get behind to Milwaukee with the way they mix and match in their bullpen. Cubs have never come back from this situation. They were swept on all 3 occasions. They were in this spot. However, the Cubs did win 3 straight versus Milwaukee in mid-August, showing that it is possible to beat this team 3 games in a row. So if you're a Cubs fan, look at it the same way the Yankees fans had to look at it. Win today, survive to tomorrow, and see if you can get some momentum. I think this is a pretty good statement here by Mitch. I'll just let you guys read it, but I kind of agree. You got to take that 100 level course. All right, what else we got while we digest here? Priester, originally considered as an option behind Ashby, but instead he's starting today. His final outing of the season was probably, that was the only game that they had lost in his last 20 starts for the Brewers. So you have that dynamic as well. Are they due to lose a little bit more with him on the mound, or do they have a little mojo with Quinn Priester? There's 2 different ways you can look at it. They had won 19 straight starts that he had started in the stretch where he went 12-0 with a 2.84. However, versus Chicago individually, Priester was 1-1 with a 6.28 ERA in 3 outings. He was hit hard in May 2nd as a bulk inning pitcher. And then the most recent one, he only went 4 1/3, but was 1 run. And it's fascinating because he's getting a start in his hometown ballpark tonight. Big Cubs fan growing up. His grandpa Paul and grandma Judy used to take him and his sister Maddie to Wrigley Field. He attended Game 5 of the 2016 World Series. I've sat dang near everywhere in that stadium. So this is always cool when your personal life kind of becomes intertwined with the matchup. He's going to be fired up. He's going to be juiced. Very curious to see how Quinn comes out. He's got a good arm. Will he be up to 97, 98 today? Will we see a little boost in that sort of thing? So fascinated to see that. Another dynamic in this series is what's going on with Chourio. Chourio 5 for 7 with a double homer, 6 RBIs, including that absurd 3-run nuke he hit off Palencia to center the other day. But he keeps feeling his hamstring, so I don't know if he's going to play today or not. I do think that could be a little bit of vulnerability. He takes their team to another level when he's in the lineup offensively, and without him, they're just not as good a team. I think it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. As I previously mentioned, JMO had tossed 4 innings scoreless in Game 3 of the wildcard series versus the Padres. He gave up 2 hits, no walks, did get pulled. The no walks are the big key with JMO. He just doesn't walk guys. The Brewers are going to have to swing it against him, and we'll see how their punch and Judy approach works today. I have a feeling if they do some damage early, they can pretty much break the entire Cubs pitching staff today and end this series. So there's a lot riding on JMO throwing some some pretty good. There's some, there's a chance here that if JMO pitches well, that's the real ingredient that the Cubs need. So there's a lot riding on my guy today. And for what it's worth, he did win his last start for the Brewers on August 19th. 6 innings, 1 run. Game 2 of a doubleheader. Cubs hitters have had trouble with the punch-outs in this series so far. They've struck out 10-plus times in all 5 games. So that's something that they're looking to do a little better job of today versus Priesters. Put the ball in play, give themselves a little better chances. And, it's actually, things have kind of worked backwards a little bit in conventional thinking this postseason. We thought the era of the postseason starter was over. It's obviously back. We thought that the only way to score runs in the postseason was homers. Those were obviously lies. We've seen tons of big time rallies, and maybe the Cubs need to do a little bit more of that, putting the ball in play. Milwaukee relievers retired the final 15 Cubs batters in Game 2, and the Brewers bullpen has struck out 13 of 37 batters faced, 35.1% K rate. Now, that's why I was saying the Cubs cannot afford to play from behind in this game. The Milwaukee relievers are relatively still feeling good. They're still relatively fresh in this situation, and they have a chance to just step on the Cubs' neck here if they're playing out front. So I think it's critical that the Cubs get an early lead in this series. Big guys, hot guys to pay attention to offensively for both teams. Christian Yelich, 7-game postseason hitting streak, hitting .393 in that span. Andrew Vaughn, 1,000 OPS with 11 RBIs in 10 games against the Cubs as a Brewer. So he's been hot. He looked amazing with that 3-run homer that kind of equalized that Game 2. And then Suzuki's red hot for the Cubs. He's got 7 homers, 14 RBIs in his last 9 games. So Seiya is one of the hottest players on the planet. He should be a big factor if the Cubs are going to do anything offensively. And that's really all the notes on this game. I expect the Brewers to find a way to sweep them today, honestly. I don't feel a lot of mojo coming out of the Cubs. But that's why you play the games. And they certainly have a lot of really talented players. And they're looking to do what the Yankees did and kind of flip the script a little bit. All right, Yankees Blue Jays is the next game. We've already covered 95% of this. Let's see if there's anything in here that we need to pay attention to. So this is a bullpen game for the Blue Jays. We mentioned that earlier. However, even though it seems like this isn't a great strategy, it did work on September 25th versus Boston. They actually had a perfect game deep into the game. They went Varland for 2, Lauer for 3 1/3, Yaro Rodriguez, Fisher, Dominguez, Little, and Hoffman after that pitched the team to a 6-1 victory. So that's the roadmap today for Toronto. But ultimately, I don't think they can repeat that performance perfectly. So I think it really comes down to their offense matching whatever the Yankees are able to do as well. And then I think Schlittler is the big key overall for this game. The Yankees need him really, really badly to give them a good start. Let's see. What info are coaches relaying to hitters mid-at-bat? Pitch tendencies based on sequence? No. If they're relaying something mid-at-bat, it's something that they have. Like they're saying, oh, when he does this, I know he's throwing an off-speed pitch, or I know he's throwing a fastball. So they're relaying the pitch type, or they're relaying location. It has nothing to do with scouting, except for scouting for what to look for the tips. And then when they see it, they'll relay that to the batters. So that's how it works. But it all happens very quickly. So the best way to do it is just to not tip, which is hard. All right, hot. No surprise here. It's Vlad Jr., first player in Blue Jays history to hit a home run in 3 straight playoff games within a single postseason. He is 8 for 13, hitting .615 in this series with 3 homers and 8 RBIs. The LDS record for RBIs in a series is 12, set by John Valentin in 1999 versus Cleveland. So a huge game today for Vlad. He could challenge that record. And he has killed it at Yankee Stadium. This has been obviously known for a while, but here's the numbers. 312, 375, 646 with 17 homers and 32 RBIs in only 49 career games at the stadium. 646 slugging percentage, trails only Babe Ruth and Jim Rice at either version of Yankee Stadium. So those are two pretty good guys to be connected to. On the other side, the guys that are scuffling a little bit are Stanton and Grisham, 4 for 24 combined. Although I will say Grisham got that rally started with a great at-bat versus Varland that eventually Actually, I think it was Bieber that eventually led to the first little comeback that the Yankees had last night. And if the Yankees have their druthers, these are the guys that they would like to have in there in the biggest moments at the moment. Bednar, Hill, and Duvall, 13 and 2/3 so far, 1 run, 130 opponent average. And that's the Yankees' strength at the moment as well, is really that bullpen a little bit with that group of guys. Not to mention Devin Williams has also been outstanding. They probably meant to put him in here, but they said David Bednar twice. All right, what do we got in the chat before we look at the Phillies Dodgers? Let's see here. Abner Uribe, low-key, having best non-closer year in reliever as MLB. He's locked down. If you haven't seen Abner Uribe pitch, it's a vicious 100-mile-an-hour Dominican sling, sinker, and really good slider. He took over for McGill in the closer role when McGill got hurt. So he's one of the big weapons the Brewers have. And really, that Brewers bullpen is a big strength for them, too. And that's why I think it's so important for the Cubs to play up front and make the Brewers chase in this game. But easier said than done, of course. All right, what else we got in here? Too heavy a topic for baseball and coffee, but I do worry that we are limiting the next crop of great North American pitchers by letting advanced stats and scouting permeate at the Little League level. I don't have a lot of familiarity with the Little League level, but it's got to be a developmental level. You teach people to compete, but I would do a lot of... My whole thing is educate the players off the field, let them play on the field, and let them problem solve themselves. I don't like when people try to give players the answers to the test in the flow of competition, because that's a different thing. That's a different thing. This isn't football where the coach calls in the play from the side. I think for the most part, you want your players learning to problem solve on their own, because that's going to show up and that's going to be sustainable in their lives and in their journeys, where they're not going to always be able to lean on somebody to tell them what to do. So I think especially at the younger ages, let's start reinforcing that and equipping guys with that type of brain power. A lot of teams believe in the small sample size of the playoffs that managed individual matchups are better way to increase win probability in a short series. Yeah, I would agree with that. But at the same time, I think you got to pay attention to what's in front of you too. And in these situations, you can plan as much as you want in these types of series, these division series. But you also have to be reactive and ice cold in your assessment in the moment of what's going on, who can handle it, who can't handle it, who's got it, who doesn't got it. That can change on a dime, so you better be paying attention. How can you get a bye in the first round of the playoffs and then have a planned bullpen game for Game 4? Seems like weird roster construction. So in this case, the Blue Jays decided that they didn't like the matchup of Scherzer versus the Yankees, so he gets completely left off the roster. And then Bassett, not healthy enough to be added to the roster before the start of this series. And then Barrios also has an elbow injury. So the Blue Jays, I expected them to have their starting pitching be their big strength headed into the playoffs. And they should have had 5 or 6 options here, but now they're kind of down to the 3. Lauer's not built up as a traditional starter anymore. I think the decision to not trust Scherzer changes things a little bit. I know he struggled a lot, especially against the Yankees, but I do think it would be a little cleaner in terms of the way you would manage this game if you had a Max Scherzer starting it, but they didn't, and that's the decision they made, and now they're in a bullpen game situation, and let's see if those decisions come back to haunt them now or if they carry through and do a good job. I know last year in the Mets-Dodgers, we actually removed a pitcher going into the Dodgers series from the roster. That was me, but overall, we reduced the pitching, the amount of pitchers by 1 going into that series, and I actually thought, whether it was me or not, I thought it loomed large. We kind of ran out of pitching at some point. And sometimes front offices will make some assumptions that they probably shouldn't make going into a big playoff series about how covered they are on the mound. I will say that. What else we got? We talked a little bit about Weaver with Betances. I don't think we're going to see him unless it's a big score with the Yankees up big and they want to hold some relievers back, but I don't think we'll see him otherwise. I just don't. I think maybe I think he'll still be on the roster moving forward, but based off the comments and the overall mojo, I mean, there's still faith that this guy's a really good pitcher, but in this moment right now, I don't think that you can lose with him on the mound. That's just how I feel like Booney will manage it. And then in terms of what's going on with him, I think his velocity started to tick up right towards the end of the year, and it's funny to say, but I think it kind of screwed him up. I think it screwed up his timing a little bit. I think he started overcooking a lot of balls to the left and the command kind of went away. He's hung more changeups. He hasn't put guys away with fastballs in the right locations. So it's funny because his stuff is there. If anything, it's a little better than where it was early in the year, in my opinion, with Luke. It's just the command is off and the execution's down, and then therefore the confidence drops. So all that is kind of a cocktail of bad news for Luke Weaver. All right, let's get into Phillies Dodgers. I fully expect the Dodgers to sweep the Phillies tonight, and most of it is because of Yamamoto. Yamamoto this year 12-8, 2.49, but that underscores how dominant he was at the end of the season. I think we have some pretty good numbers on that that'll come up in this packet. Dodgers can advance to the NLCS for the 8th time in the last 13 years. That's amazing. They have won 14 of their last 17 postseason games dating back to the 2024 NLDS versus the Padres. The only team to win 15 of 18 this century is 2012 to 24 Giants. Dodgers have played at 4 runs or more in 13 straight postseason games, tied with the 70 to 71 Orioles for the largest streak in MLB history. Man, they were such a frustrating team this year, and yet they've looked like they're clicking on all cylinders as we are in the playoffs here. Dodger starters in this series, Otani and Snell have allowed 2 hits in their last 39 batters faced. That Dodger starting rotation, them and the Mariners, but really the Dodgers on the high end, it's the best in the big leagues right now. It's the best in baseball. They have Glassnet working out of the bullpen. That's how good it is right now. Yoshinobu Yamamoto has allowed no more than 4 hits in 8 consecutive starts, while posting a 1.34 ERA. That's 8 runs in his last 53 and 2/3, and he hasn't allowed an earnings in his last 24 games. This is what I'm talking about. This guy has finally made the full adjustment. He is fully formed at the major league level now, and now his numbers are starting to creep back to the direction they were in Japan, which is Cy Young Award level, MVP award level. He's simply amazing. He doesn't really walk you. He's got incredible command, incredible stuff. He's a great athlete. His splitter is invisible. His curveball's snappy. He's got great velocity. The delivery is awkward with the short step, with the slide step out of the windup. That makes him hard to time. I also think he's just unshakable confidence-wise. I think Yamamoto is one of the most confident pitchers I've ever watched pitch. So to me, this is sort of why, in my mind, I think this is a tall task for the Phillies tonight. He's now only allowed 3 runs over his last 22 1/3 in the playoffs too. So playoffs are not a big deterrent for him. And he gave up 1 earned run over 6 innings in a 3-2 loss to Philly this year. I know it's way back on April 4th, so that's ancient history, but he has faced these guys and they didn't look great against him. Both bullpens have struggled this series. All 7 runs Monday came into the final 3 innings. I don't think it's fair to say both bullpens have struggled. I'd say it's on the LA side, it's more just like trying and struggled a little bit. Other than that, they've been pretty good. Vesia had 1 good one, 1 bad one. But again, it's Glasnow, Sheehan, Vesia, Sasaki. Those are the guys in the trust tree right now for the Dodgers. Maybe Kershaw pokes his head in there. That'd be fun to see. Phillies are playing under a lot of pressure as well. This is a team that's been built to win for many years. I thought they were the best team headed into the playoffs, even without Wheeler. But the fact that they weren't able to pull one out at the bank, and the Dodgers have kind of gone on an upward trajectory since I started having that thought, worries me a little bit about Philly. They've been built to win for a while. This would be a very disappointing exit again, and the questions will start all over again about this core and can you win with this core and has the window closed and that sort of thing. But they have a chance to right the ship and to get back in the series if they have a great performance from Nola and they can get to Yamamoto. Again, tall task, but crazier things have happened. They do have fresh memories of success in LA. They won the first 2 of a 3-game set in September 15th to 17, and they were able to clinch there. So good vibes are always a good thing, not a bad thing. Here's a little bit on Nola. First start since September 26th, so he's on 11 days rest. For me, that's a little bit too much. I'm sure he's been doing a lot of throwing in between, but the feeling of being in the competition after 11 days between starts is definitely, you're a little bit grasping for that feel again when you go back out there. He also has a 5.5 ERA in his last 6 starts versus the Dodgers. So a lot of arrows pointing in the Dodgers' direction as we head into this. Ranger Suarez, who has a 3.2 and a 1.43 playoff ERA, who's not getting the start. Interestingly, he could be following Nola or they could be holding him back. But I'm a little surprised Suarez didn't start this game. I'm wondering what the reasoning for that is. Maybe there's like some sort of later in the game matchup that they want to be in charge of. Suarez, JT Realmuto, Kyle Schwarber could all be playing their final game in a Phillies uniform. All three are slated to be free agents. And honestly, Schwarber's free agency is going to be fascinating. This is probably the first time he enters it without the league hating on him a little bit. He's coming off of just a stupidly good season. I expect a lot of teams to be on him. And then, the 1, 2, 3 spots in the Philly lineup, this is kind of who they are. Trey Turner, Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper. They typically need these guys to carry them, and they've struggled big time. Schwarber's 0 for 21 his last 6 games going back to the regular season. So that's a little bit of an issue. And this stat's just weird. He's whiffed on 10 of 13 pitches in the zone during the stretch, which is really crazy. 77%. You out of here? All right, love you. And, the top of the order as well for the Dodgers is also kind of scuffled. 4 for 25 between Ohtani, Mookie, and Freddie. And Ohtani just doesn't hit right now when he's pitching, so that's part of that. So I'm not going to read too far into that. Teoscar's come alive. He's been huge. Huge for the Dodgers. 10-game postseason hit streak. 390, 4 home runs, 14 RBIs during that stretch. And then, yes, the Phillies are trying to get the mojo going here with wearing the powder blue uniforms on the road. So we'll have a white with blue accent Dodger uniform, and then we'll have a powder blue with, I guess it's reddish, maroonish, whatever accents for the Phillies. So interesting visual tonight. We'll be locked in. That'll be the late game. That'll be fun. What else we got in here? Phillies' run of success with the vet-related core could end Wednesday. We just talked about that a little bit and how you always think the window's open a little longer than it really is, and groups don't really stay together that long. They have a lot of big free agents coming up. Even Alvarado, who can't participate in the playoffs because he did steroids. But he's, another guy that affected them positively in the regular season. So yeah, they have a lot riding on this game. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of stuff with the Phillies here, and in terms of the discourse about them as a team, that's interesting to take a look at. All right, let me just go and load up all of these little previews here. For later, so we know. So 308 is where we start. Miller versus Mize today in a very desperate game. It's going to be good. It's going to be really good. All right, let me go back here. We're about to wrap it up today. This morning on Baseball and Coffee, and then we'll be back tonight. So this is a little comment on Weaver, what I was saying. Command for sure. Last playoffs, you can spot the fastball and change up. Yeah, it's just execution. The stuff's there. The brain, the mental game is so important to control the physical. And in this situation, yeah, he's not himself mentally right now, and that's manifesting itself a little bit with the physical stuff as well. The mental controls the physical, but I do think the fact that his velocity ticked up sometimes messes you up. Like all of a sudden you're a little more powerful than the mechanics you were using before would have allowed you to stay online, and now you have to make a new adjustment. So he's probably been working through that the last few weeks and just hasn't clicked right yet. So that's what I would say with Weaver. And then here's a little comment on Schwarber. There's no way he's going to swing for contact. That's just not his game. But yes, 0 for 20 is crazy. But I expect him to do more of the same, draw walks, try to punish pitches in the middle. He's too good. He'll snap out of his funk a little bit. And then 3:00 Eastern time. Everything I have is Eastern on my game notes. Everything's geared for the East Coast. So 3:08 Eastern is Seattle, Detroit. 5:08 Milwaukee, Chicago. Here's the game times up here. And then 7:08 Yanks, Jays, and 9:08 Phillies, Dodgers. I will be on tonight at 9 o'clock for Baseball After Dark, so that will be towards the end of the Yankees Blue Jays game. We'll already know what happened in the 2 early games, and we'll watch the beginning of the Dodgers Phillies. Try to see how Yamamoto and Nola start off in that game and kind of how we're feeling as it goes along. We have one more quick question here before I goodbye. Just wondering how hard it is for a pitcher to learn a new pitch. It used to be the hardest thing, but now it's a lot easier because the technology and the know-how and the high-speed cameras has kind of given us the answers to the test. So not that hard to learn a new pitch. What is hard is actually bringing it into the game and figuring out how to use it and stay healthy with it and be effective with it. That's the part that we haven't really, like the transition yet. I don't think anybody's perfected. That's more of each individual guy who goes through this process, has varying degrees of success with the actual implementation of learning said new pitch, but learning it, not hard anymore. It's no longer really trial and error the same way. That feedback loop of you tried something and it's wrong, let's switch it up, is a lot tighter now, and guys can usually figure out a new pitch, honestly, in a matter of days, if not one day. That's how crazy it's gotten. So that's my answer there, and that's where we're at in big leagues baseball. Thanks so much for hanging with me tonight on Baseball and Coffee. I know we didn't watch a ton of the games because we did a lot of that last night, but we did preview these games tonight in a big way. Thanks for Dellin for hopping on, talking a little Yankees tonight. Obviously, he's hoping that his Yanks can extend it to Game 5. But the Blue Jays fans are hoping to put the nail in the coffin tonight, as are the Seattle fans, the Milwaukee fans, and the Dodger fans. So a chance for 4 exits, and thanks for hanging with me today, and I'll see you guys tonight on Baseball After Dark if you guys are around for that. If not, enjoy your day, and I'll see you next time. All right, have a good one. Peace, guys.